Hi, my name is Ram Kulkarni. I'm a member of ColdFusion Engineering Team. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with developing and packaging mobile applications using upcoming versions of ColdFusion and ColdFusion Builder, codenamed Splendor and Thunder. So let's get started. Open up ColdFusion Builder and you should see a default server already configured because ColdFusion Builder now ships with ColdFusion Server. So let's start the mobile project. I'm going to create a very simple application for tracking expenses. It is going to be a single page application with a form at the top to enter expense information, and we will display a list of expenses just below the form. So I'm going to start with a blank template. I'm going to call this simple expense tracker. Click next, select the default server and click finish. So we have a file with CF client block created for us. I'm going to start with creating HTML UI. I have code snippets for each of the code blocks which I'm going to use so that I don't spend time typing in this demo. So I'm going to insert the HTML code block here, and it has three input fields: date, amount, and description. There is an add button. When you click on add button, the information would be inserted into database as well as displayed in the list. And that list is here. I'm displaying expenses in a table, and the name of the table is exp list. And so it's a very simple HTML code that we have written. And next, I'm going to write code for creating tables and code for data access. I'm going to do that in CF client block. I'm going to insert CF client code here. So I have a variable to store a data source name. I'm calling data source expense ds. Then I'm creating table using CF query. There are four fields. I'm creating expense table and four columns in that: ID, expense date, amount, and description. The type of expense date is integer. Then I have a function to list expenses. It's first going to query the database and get all the expenses using CF query and select statement. And I'm going to name this query as RS. And then I'm going to iterate over the query. And for each expense date, I'm going to create an instance of JavaScript date because date is stored as integer in the database, and we want to display a date in string format. So we will create a JavaScript date. And then I'm calling a helper function called add expense and passing expense date, amount, and description. Now add expense takes three arguments, and I'm going to use CF output and CF save content to create HTML string for each table row. So there is a table row and three table columns for date, amount, and description. And I'm using date format function to format the date. Once I have the HTML for a table row, I'm going to append that to exp list table. I'm using document.getElements by name, and I'm appending this row HTML to the inner HTML of expense list table. Then I have a function to add expense. First, I'm getting all the user input data. So I'm getting data from text, date, text, amount, and description. And I'm then inserting this into table using CF query and insert statement. And I'm using CF query param to specify values of columns. And once the data is inserted into the table, I am appending that to HTML table using add expense row function that we just saw here. And I'm calling list expenses just after creating the table. Now add expense function should be called when user taps on add button. So we have to have event handler for add button. And I'm going to do that in JavaScript code. So here I have inserted JavaScript code. First I'm getting add button, and I'm handling on click handler of that button. And in that handler, I'm calling add expense function which we have written in CF client block. I think we are done with coding. Let's see how it looks in the browser. Let's see if there are any data sources already created. So as you can see, there are no data sources created so far. I'm going to open the page. Simple expense tracker. Okay, I forgot to save the file. So let's save the file and run this again. And this is our HTML form, and this is a list of expenses. There are no expenses as yet. But you can see here that the expense data source has been created and expense table is also created. Now let's package this application so that we can install this on mobile devices. For packaging, we go back to ColdFusion Builder. We use PhoneGap build server to create packages for mobile applications. So you have to set certain preferences in ColdFusion PhoneGap preferences, server URI, email ID, password, and if you want to sign your application, which in case of iOS is required, you specify key details for iOS as well as Android. So after setting the preferences, you select the files that you want to package. So right click on project and go to project properties, go to ColdFusion Mobile project properties, and in the resource selection, you will see the files and folders in your project. Select the files that you want to package, and then again right click on project and select PhoneGap, generate PhoneGap build option here. Now this is going to send the files to PhoneGap build server. First it is going to convert all CFML files to JavaScript or HTML. Then it's going to upload it to PhoneGap server, build server. And when that is done, you will see a row added to the PhoneGap status view. And when the build is ready, you will see download button enabled here. The builds are downloaded, the builds are actually generated. We can download iOS or Android build. I'm going to download Android build. So click on download and select a folder where you want to save the build. The build is now downloaded. We need to move this file to a mobile device and install the application. I'm going to use Bluetooth to do that. I'm going to use Android screen monitor to show you what is happening on my mobile device. So this is my mobile device, and you will see the activities on my mobile device in this window. So first, I'm going to transfer the flyer file. This is the file I downloaded, and that I'm going to accept the file transfer. Then just going to go to notifications, tap on Bluetooth file that was transferred, and tap on the file, and it will start the install process. So I'll tap install, and the application is being installed now. So application is installed. I'm going to open the application, and this is how it looks on mobile. Let's enter some data. So this application was already installed. So I'm going to set the date. Say 1,000 I'm going to spend on travel, and add. So you see the information is added to database and displayed in the list of expenses. I hope now you have got fair idea of how to develop and package mobile applications using CF mobile features. I also hope that you would build applications using these features. Thank you.